What's up, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Leadoff Show. It's been about a week since our last show. Hope you guys had a good week. I was out, so I really didn't play. I played the kind of afternoon slate yesterday, May 4th slate. But other than that, I've been kind of out of the loop on everything that's going on since last Friday night. So I'm gonna have to dig into this slate maybe a little more than usual. But this should be a good one. I think we have 11 games here on this Friday night. Fridays are always good. We usually get full slates. And I think we can kind of go a lot of different places. I think pitching should be kind of all over the board. There's two guys that we'll mainly look at that should carry some ownership. But outside of that, I think pitching should be pretty spread out. Like offenses, there's maybe two or three that might carry some ownership. Other than that, I think we can pretty much go anywhere. So should be an interesting slate. We'll see what we can find as we kind of walk through them. We'll go game by game again. Real quick, we start off with the weather. It's I think our first game here. Yeah, Wrigley game's out. Our first game here is Red Sox Phillies. Storms pop up afternoon. Stick around through early evening. Need a pre-radar check. So it's definitely going to be something we're going to have to follow because sale for the Red Sox is 7.5K here in this spot. And he's probably one of the main pitchers we're going to be looking at here. So this is definitely a game of interest that we'll have to follow closer. Rockies Mets, same exact forecast. Not too much interest here. This is Senzatella versus Senga, I believe. And Senga's super expensive, so that one probably doesn't matter. Baltimore Atlanta. We'd like to have Fried here in the spot at 8.2K. So hopefully this game plays fine. We can check back on that one. And then these are probably two of our main offenses here with the Royals and Cardinals in good hitting spots. So, all right, we can walk through it though, but that's just general overview. First, we can start here with Red Sox Phillies. 3.56 total for the Red Sox, 4.4 for the Phillies. Chris Sale versus Zach Wheeler. Sale at 7.5K. Definitely interesting. He's going to be someone. He's just so up or down. I mean, he's great for GPPs because if he has a good day, he's gonna get you 20 plus, and if he has a bad day, you're gonna not cash anyway. Here in the spot against the Phillies, they're starting to get a little bit better. They got Harper back, so that lineup's looking a little more formidable. But at that price, Sale's just one of the few guys at that price I can actually give you 25-30 point upside. So I think he's certainly going to be in play. Probably one of the main cash options, I would think. Just strictly because of his price. So really the weather will dictate a lot of that, but we can check real quick. You can see why Sale's interesting. These are some really high K rates for the Phillies. They do carry some high power though. Schwarber, Bryce can take a lefty deep still. Turner, Castellanos, Realmuto, Bohm are good righties. So it doesn't come without its risk for sure, but I think Sale, like I said, with his price, he's going to certainly be one of the pitchers we're considering today. Been slightly worse for us lefties this year. Is pretty interesting, but does have a higher K rate. So I think we'll see. I think between Sale and Fried, I think that'll be kind of your main two like mid-range pitchers, and then we can maybe we can find a pivot off one of them. I would probably prefer to stay on Fried and pivot off Sale if it came down to it. But we'll just have to see. And the weather will dictate that as well. Wheeler at 10.6K. The price is steep. It's really the only problem. He's been better. Last two starts have been good. Kind of back to what we'd expect from him. At that price, though, he's way more expensive than Fried and Sale, obviously. But he is cheaper than Kershaw, so I think I wouldn't be opposed to Wheeler here in this spot, especially if he's doing this last two starts out. Kind of like him a little bit. I do have interest in Wheeler. So the 10K pitchers tonight are Kershaw at 10.8, Wheeler at 10.6, Senga at 10.2, Castilla at 10.0. I think I'm going to be out on Kershaw and Senga just because of Wheeler and Castillo here in this spot, but I think Wheeler will be in consideration, but he's probably going to have to be, a pivot if I have some extra cash and I feel like I'm too chalky or something. Other than that, I'll probably just stick with, some variation of Sale, Fried, and go from there. The offenses in the spot, I really don't like either. Regardless of, if we play these guys, if we don't play Wheeler, it's just because of his price. We don't, actually expect him to go out there and give up more than 3 or 4 runs. So really out kind of across the board on the Red Sox. We'll see if any single hitters stand out, but first glance, not really. Yoshida's been good lately. Finally hitting the ball in the air a little bit more. See what Wheeler's splits are. Yeah, Wheeler's he's solid versus both sides though, so really don't love either spot. That price on Yoshida is just too much here in this spot, so probably out all on the Red Sox. Even if I don't play Sale, I probably won't grab a Philly. Harper's 5.6K. I don't mind him lefty, but here in this spot as a one-off, that's pretty expensive. Lefty one-off. Maybe Bohm if I ended up going with a Philly, but here, 59 degrees. I'm really not interested in taking a batter. I think fade and sell would make you different enough. There's no reason to force in a Philly hitter. Our next game we got Twins Guardians. 4.42 total for the Twins, 4.08 for the Guardians. Bailey Ober 7.2K versus Peyton Battenfield 5.8K. We can make this real quick on the pitchers. There's no chance to play either of these guys. Ober's basically the same price as Sale with almost no upside here in this spot. I mean, 2 good starts in a row, hadn't got over 20, but this here is a low strikeout team in the Guardians. I've been saying that all year. Yeah, I mean, Ober's really not. I mean, this is kind of his peak, I feel like. So I wouldn't expect much more than that from here in this spot. And then Battenfield, I'm not going to take him against the Twins. Twins have plenty of firepower, and it's not worth taking a guy like this on this slate. I don't think we need to go this cheap. We have some cheap offenses with like the Royals, maybe a few A's. If you want to go there, so I don't think there's any reason to play Battenfield in this spot. And then we'll even get to it that there's a pitcher cheaper than him that we might like a little bit more even. The Twins, I think, just the weather kind of concerns me a little bit. They're probably kind of in that mid-range tier. The prices are reasonable, I would say, really across the board. But we'll see if Battenfield has any extreme splits. Buxton has just been on fire lately. He's had like 6 home runs in the last 12 games or something. Low K rate, super high walk rate, absolutely terrible versus lefties. The power numbers versus righties is interesting. That ISO is really low. I wouldn't mind taking some one-off lefties here in this spot. That always leaves Gallo for sure when it comes to power lefties. He's the guy you think of. And here with the low strikeout pitcher, maybe that kind of cancels out his high strikeout. So Gallo is really my favorite player here. I could see even going like Kepler, Polanco, Larnick. Kind of mixing and matching some Twins, I think, is more likely what I'll do than a full stack. Guardians on the other side, I'm probably out. Like we saw, Ober's been fine, but kind of hadn't had the huge upside that we'd want as a DK pitcher, but kind of limited offenses enough where I'm not super interested in the Guardians either. I mean, you always play Ramirez, but I don't really have any interest. Naylor, what's his price at? I always don't mind playing Naylor. Yeah, 4K now, that's a little too high. So I'm probably just out completely on the Guardians. I don't think there's any reason to go there. All right, next game we got Rockies Mets. A little bit of weather concern. Don't forget about that. If you do have interest here, 3.25 total for the Rockies, 5.25 for the Mets. Antonio Senzatella, 5K versus Cody Senga, 10.2K. No interest in Senzatella. Looks like he's kind of making this comeback start here. First start of the season is what it looks like. I don't know if the entire page is loaded or not, but no interest here, even if he was fully stretched out. I'm not taking him against the Mets. Senga, I'm probably out on as well. I mean, that price is just 2K more than it should be. I mean, feels like the same price as Freed or Sale or something like that. Maybe we'd have interest here in this good spot against the Rockies, but you can look what I did. This was against Oakland, 9 points. San Francisco, 9 points again. His only other home start was 24, but I mean, you honestly need more than 24 points at 10.2K. I think I'm going to be out on Senga. I'll probably look to play Castillo or Wheeler if I pay up. The Rockies, I'm probably out on though as well. I mean, Senga, I would expect 4 or 5 innings of 2-3 run ball from him. And with that being said, these prices are way too expensive to try to chase that. So I'm going to be out on the Rockies. I don't really even provide any leverage because Senga shouldn't be on. So it's not like you're getting a sneaky bat in there versus owned pitcher. So I'm probably out on the Rockies. Mets on the other side, Man, they've just been bad lately. I know they just got swept by the Tigers. You know, even though I was unplugged, I still was able to get that nice update. So they should, you know, bounce back here at home, I would think, in a good spot against Senzatella. Let's see what his splits are last year. It should still show up, even though I hadn't pitched it this year. If there's any spots, you can take them. I'm really not wanting them full Met stack. You can see super low K right here. Higher power numbers versus righties, but pretty bad versus both sides. So, like I said, I mean, like always, I think Alonso's certainly in play. I mean, he's about as good of a one-off as you can ask for. Vogelbach 2.8K, I like that price. Pretty cheap one-off if you need some power. The other guys are kind of expensive to one-off here and there. I could see maybe just like a Vogelbach Beatty combination or something like that. I'm probably out on the full stack on the Mets. Our next game we got Orioles Braves, 3.39 total for the Orioles, 5.11 total for the Braves. Dean Kramer 6.3K versus Max Fried 8.2K. Gonna be out on Kramer here. I think we've kind of had some interest in him once or twice this year. But yeah, really no interest. He's been giving up a ton of hits. You can see 18 hits in his last 2 starts against the Red Sox and Tigers, and you know this team is not the Red Sox or Tigers. So out on Kramer here. I think Fried is in the best spot of the night. He's probably one of the top projected pitchers, but he's also comes in as like the 10th most expensive pitcher. So great combination there. I think if you're playing cash or single entry, he will be, you know, by far the most popular pitcher. But even on this slate, I don't think that ownership gets too high. It should still be, you know, 35% or so, I would say, even in some of the single entry contests. And we've seen, we've seen some pitchers, you know, 60, 80% at different times this year. So really not too worried about that. If you end up making a slight pivot off SB2 or a slight pivot, you know, off the main stack here, I think you will be okay to play Fried and just kind of go from there. The Braves are going to be out on the Orioles, even if I don't play Fried. I think just fading them is good enough, or fading Fried is good enough to be different. I don't think there's any reason to chase Orioles here in this spot. I kind of like their switch hitters more from the left side anyway. I mean, and if Fried doesn't have a great, fantasy performance, it's because he went 6 innings, 2 runs, 3 Ks. It's not because he gave up, 6, 7 runs or anything like that. Santander obviously has great splits against lefties, but I'm still don't have a lot of interest there. If I do fade anybody, or if I do make a pivot off Fried, I'll probably just go somewhere else off my bats as well. I won't force it in the Orioles. Braves here, I think will probably be one of the top on stacks. It'll be the top expensive stack, that's for sure. We'll need to see the status of Acuna. He left yesterday's game after fouling the ball off his knee, so we'll have to check that. See if Harris is in there. Ozuna's still at 2.6K. I really like that. He's had a great series down in Miami. So if he's even partly what he was a few years ago at 2.6K is a great price. So Braves do give you plenty of flexibility. They got plenty of cheap guys in there to make the stack work. So I think they'll probably be one of the top on stacks of the day. I think we're looking at the Braves, Cardinals, and Royals probably. I think those 3 will be the main stacks, and then after that, everything else should pretty much be unowned. But I like the Braves with good reason. I think if you go Fried, Sale, and Braves, you might have to get pretty unique with your last 3 spots, or maybe just make something unique within your Braves stack. Maybe mix in some of these lower order guys or something like that. All right, moving on, we got A's Royals. 4.3 total for the A's, 5.2 total for the Royals. It's one of the best hitting weather spots on the day. 73 degrees, 12 mile an hour wind blowing out. Kyle Mueller, 5.2K versus Brad Keller, 6.6K. Probably out on Mueller here in this spot. I think he's been decent enough. We can click. Yeah, he's been okay. Obviously not great. More bad than anything. Last start was decent against the Reds, but he's pretty much looks like he's kind of right around that 3 strikeout range almost every start. So there's no chance of playing him in fantasy. You all know I don't have interest going down to super cheap pitchers, so don't like Mueller here in this spot. Keller on the other side, he's had I think one good start about a month ago. Yeah, against Rangers, 28 points. Other than that, I mean, he's kind of similar, low strikeout. So even against the A's, I don't have interest here in Keller. I'm going to be out as well. Pull up the plate IQ though, see if any bats stand out. I think the A's should be kind of a sneaky, cheap, unowned stack. I think they certainly have some good hitters. Rooker obviously has been great to carry some ownership. I love when the catcher's actually good. Langoliers, you can put him in there. Yeah, you can see 16.8% K rate, 10% walk rate for Keller. He's been pretty bad. So I do like the A's here in this spot. I think they should be, virtually unowned as well. And you probably can, if you get off sale, and play the A's, you could really pay up for Wheeler or Castillo or one of those other top pitchers that you really like. Love Ruiz. He's had that 4 still game last week. So I think, anybody that can get you, free points like that off a walk. We know Keller has high walk rate. I like Ruiz. I can see something like Ruiz, Rooker, Laureano, Blade, Langoliers, something like that. I think would be a great stack. Might be a lot of outfielders. Yeah, that's probably too many outfielders. But some variation of that. I mean, Blade coming in at 2K. You shouldn't need the salary if you're playing an A stack, but if you do, that salary's super nice. So yeah, since Blade counts as the third outfielder, I can see going like with Peterson or Noda, or really anything you need to make it work. Maybe just that fifth guy, just grab the position need. But I do like the A's here in the spot. Flip side, I also love the Royals. I've played the Royals probably more than anybody all season. So now that they're finally in a good spot, I love that. Mueller on the mound. We have wind out to left field, so that'll favor the righties. The lefty on the mound favors the righties. See how Mueller shakes out split wise. Yeah, pretty high ISO totals versus righties. I really love the Royal righties here in the spot. Witt, Olivares, Perez, Garcia's been great. Don't mind playing Dozier, and of course Pasquantino. I will never fault you for playing. He's good from both sides or against both pitchers. So I think any combination of the Royals is fine. I'd probably leave off like Bradley if he's in there. Just no interest taking him lefty even if he is min salary. So I think the Royals, like I said, Braves, Royals, Cardinals, I think are kind of your main teams today. The Royals will allow pretty much whatever you want elsewhere. They're pretty cheap as well. So I could see them getting a lot of ownership simply because of their price. But I do love the spot. I think it's the ownership is warranted there with them. All right, let's get through these last few games. Next game's Tigers Cardinals. 3.11 total for the Tigers, 4.89 for the Cardinals. Matt Boyd, 6.1K versus Jordan Montgomery, 8.6K. Boyd's had a couple good starts this year, but he's still just so up and down that I just don't think it's necessary here in the spot against the Cardinals. I mean, the Cardinals are going to throw a lot of righties out there with them, and Boyd is not good versus righties at all. He's very much split dependent here in the spot where he's going to face a lot of righties. There's just no reason to go there. Let me pull it up real quick, just exactly how bad he is versus righties. Yeah, look at the difference here. I mean, one of the best pitchers in baseball probably against lefties, and then righties he's terrible. So no interest here in a spot where he's going to face 8 righties. And then Montgomery on the other side, I think is certainly interesting. He'll see a lot of righties as well in the spot, but he's one of the few bright spots from the St. Louis rotation. They've been pretty terrible this year as well. Does carry a low K rate, so that worries me a little bit. And pretty high ISO numbers versus righties. We saw the Tigers kind of get to Scherzer and Verlander the last few days, so probably just rather play Fried at that same price. But any pitcher versus the Tigers is in consideration. So I think if you want to pivot off Fried for basically the same salary, I think Montgomery's in play, but I might go elsewhere. It's kind of where I'm leaning right now. These Tigers are super cheap, and it is a good hitting spot here. In this in Busch Stadium tonight, it'll be 70 degrees, 12 mile per hour wind blowing out to the right. So I'm out on the full stack, I think, for the Tigers, but I wouldn't mind some one-off. Javi Baez has been great this year. Haas is good cheap catcher with some power. Torkelson, I wouldn't mind playing. So I think I could see going something like Baez, Haas, Torkelson, just kind of as a secondary stack. But I'm going to be out on the Tigers full stack here. I think I'd rather play A's or Royals. in pretty similar price ranges. Cardinals on the other side, I think, are going to be top on stack. I think they probably even carry more ownership than the Braves, just simply because these prices. I mean, these guys are creeping down pretty low just with how bad they've been. Like we just showed, Boyd is terrible versus righties. I think pretty much any combination of the top 8 hitters is in play. My bad. I think like I said, any combination of the top 8 hitters, I try to get the catcher in there. You can go Contreras if you really want to get different. You can put Kisner in there as your catcher, but I don't know. That's probably getting too cute here in this spot. I mean, Contreras is just in such a good spot that I'd rather go there. Yeah, any of these guys, DeJong, I like him. O'Neill, like him. I'm not sure how Carlson is as a right-handed hitter, if he's better one side or the other. But all right. So yeah, pretty much like any Cardinal here, but I think they'll carry the ownership. So back to play back you. Okay, next game we got Rangers Angels. No total yet, because I think there's some trying to decide if it's Dane Dunning or Nate Eovaldi here in this spot. I think I've seen both, so no total yet here. If Dane Dunning's in, he's 6.1K. Eovaldi, I'm not sure on his price, but I'm probably out on him as well in this spot. Just tough offense to go up against the Angels, even though they did have a good start last time out. I think he won a complete game, maybe 2 games ago. Tyler Anderson here, 6K versus the Rangers. I just hate playing him. He's such a low K rate. The Rangers do have some pop from the right side, so really don't like this spot for Anderson. And the price is just so cheap, though. But that guy that he was for the Tigers last year, I don't think, or for the Dodgers, I just don't think is actually who he is. I mean, this was against the Brewers, but the Brewers are just atrocious for left-handed pitching. So I think who he really is probably somewhere in the middle. I mean, that price is interesting. So if you need a cheap pitcher, and you don't want to go to Sean Manaea, that we'll get to, who certainly carries risk. I guess Anderson's in play, but I don't feel good about it, and I will try to avoid that spot if I can. The Rangers on the other side, I think, are in play. Everything I said against Anderson, I could say for the Rangers here, they got pretty cheap prices as well. In a pretty good hitting spot, 62 degrees, 11 mile per hour wind blowing out. I think the Rangers are in consideration. They should go virtually unowned here in this spot, so I do like that. I'm trying to see I've done a few just like test builds. I don't know if I got any Rangers in there, but I wouldn't mind them here. I think the power numbers for Anderson. I mean, outside of Adolis Garcia, though, the Rangers are pretty affordable. Simeon obviously has been great this year. Jung, love him. Heim, love him in the spot. So pretty even numbers really versus lefties and righties. I think kind of any combination here. I could see going like probably maybe like Simeon, Garcia, Jung, Heim, Duran, or something like that, or Simeon, Grossman, Garcia, Jung, Heim. So I think the Rangers are certainly in play here in the spot. Angels on the other side are also in play. If it's Dane Dunning, I do have interest in the Angels. If it's Eovaldi, I will probably be out. I prefer taking the Angels against lefties. Just so many good right-handed hitters. So if it's Dunning, I could see having some one-offs. Any combination of like Nate, one of Trout and Ohtani, or Neto, one of Trout and Ohtani, and then maybe like Drury or Rengifo or something like that. But if it's Eovaldi, I'm probably out on the full stack, and maybe even out on the Trout Ohtani one-offs, just with that price tag. All right, next game we got Dodgers Padres. 3.75 total for the Dodgers, 3.75 for the Padres. Clint Kershaw 10.8K versus Yu Darvish 9.8K. Kershaw's been great this year, but that price is just a little steep here. In this spot, he should go virtually unowned. We've seen Kershaw do this before. Where he kind of comes in as a high-priced pitcher and he goes out and dominates, after everyone else is done. I think that was, might have been the start here against the Diamondbacks where he was basically unowned and just went out and dominated. So it wouldn't surprise me if Kershaw had a good game. The Padres have been pretty terrible this year. They've at least underwhelmed. But I would prefer to go to Wheeler or Castillo here in this spot. I don't see myself getting to Kershaw, but if you have the extra salary, just know, I think he will be unowned. So if you want to go there, definitely don't hate it. Like I said, I'll probably try to go elsewhere. Yeah, you can see it's really kind of low strikeout totals for the Padres, even if they have been bad. I mean, 16.9 as a team is pretty low. And Kershaw isn't quite. I mean, he's certainly still good, but might not be quite as dominant of a strikeout pitcher as he used to be. So, like I said, I'm out on Kershaw here in this spot. Darvish on the other side, 9.8K is just a little tough to take against the Dodgers. I'd probably rather go elsewhere. 9.8K, we could basically get Castillo, Javier's cheaper. Maybe even like Corbin Burns is cheaper. So I really don't have interest in Darvish here. On the flip side, I think these pitchers are both good enough that I don't have interest in the offenses either, especially in kind of a cool night at Petco. So I'm probably out just across the board on hitters. Yeah, trying to see if there's anyone that stands out. Of course, Hayward's kind of had a resurgence this year, so 3K. But I mean, Hayward one-off just feels terrible. So probably out there on the Dodgers across the board, and yeah, same for the Padres. If I don't play Kershaw, it's just because of his price. It's not because of anything about the Padres. Nothing really stands out. So especially the righties are the ones that are super expensive here. Maybe Cruz, but his first base eligibility now instead of outfield, so I don't really love that. Wish we could play him in the outfield. But yeah, Cruz I guess would be the only one I would even consider, but that's yeah, very unlikely that I would end up there. All right, next game we got Nationals Diamondbacks. Josiah Gray, 6.4K versus Merrill Kelly, 6.8K. We got kind of a high total here, 9 total, 3.84 for the Nats, 5.16 for the Diamondbacks. Josiah Gray certainly is interesting if the roof's open. I don't love taking pitchers here, but he has just been much better this year. Kind of the guy that we expected when he was traded to the Dodgers. And let's see, we'll have to dive into this a little bit. For cheap guys, I think we talked about Tyler Anderson a little bit. I might just honestly rather go Josiah Gray here. I think he just at least carries more upside in this spot. I need to check the K rates on the Diamondbacks real quick though, and see, fairly low. Really, only 2 guys above 20%. So, yeah, I think probably out on Gray. There'll be a time for us to play him again, but I don't think today's the day. The lefties here for the Diamondbacks are in great spots. Rojas, Marte, Carroll, and even like Alec Thomas if you need a cheap outfielder. So, yeah, most likely out on Gray. Just kind of a tough spot. Low strikeout team in a good hitting environment. But he has certainly shown some promise so far this year. So maybe on another slate. Kelly on the other side, really don't have any interest in him. His upside's just pretty low. He's a low strikeout guy. This Nats, I feel like kind of been a pesky team. Yeah, they have fairly low strikeout totals as well, outside of a couple guys. 22% K rate for Kelly. Yeah, really low K rate against lefties as well. So I'm probably out on Kelly as well. There's just no point. We got some really good pitchers here, like even in the mid-range with Sale and Fried that have a 25-30 point upside. Kelly doesn't have that really, so gonna be out there. I think these offenses should go pretty unknown, but I mean, if the roof's open, it's always a great spot for hitting. Don't mind the Nats. Even I think Kelly is pretty bad, so I wouldn't mind a few of them. Maybe I would avoid the full stack here. Really like Luis Garcia. He's been kind of doing everything since he's been back. So like him as a one-off for that price. Getting looks like he's not a lock for 5+ points, but he's certainly capable of getting 10 to 15 points as a one-off. So that you can't ask for much more than that at 2.7K. So I could see, Garcia, Ruiz, Candelaria, maybe Dom Smith, some combination of, 1 or 2 of those guys, I think is fine. Diamondbacks on the other side, like we said, Gray's pretty terrible versus lefties. They don't have a lot of lefties in this lineup outside the top 3 hitters. So I'm probably out on a full stack, but I can see, and Carroll obviously is a stolen base, has stolen base upside every time he gets on base. I think Gray's fairly easy to run on here. I love Carroll here in the spot. I think he's been kind of nicked up, so we need to see if he's in there but I could see going either Rojas Carroll or Marte Carroll in your team. I really like Carroll here in the spot. I got 2 games left. Let's try to knock them out real quick. Astros Mariners. Great pitching matchup here. Only a 7 total. 3.29 total for the Astros. 3.71 for the Mariners. Christian Javier 9.7K versus Luis Castillo 10K. Play Javier probably more than anybody. Feels like I play him every start out there. Of course, I didn't play him the one start against the Braves where he dominated. Here at 9.7K, it's kind of a tough price. I'd probably just rather go to Castillo on the other side. See if we can pull him up real quick. See how he's done. I probably missed one of his starts. Yeah, not great against Toronto. And then even not a great start before that against the Cardinals. But I do like Castillo here in this spot. Like I said, it kind of just shows more why Sale and Fried are going to be such high owned, or the highest 2. Maybe not super high, but at least the highest 2. Just because a lot of these 10K pitchers do come with their risk. Let's look at Javier real quick. Yeah, really high strikeout totals for the Mariners. Might just have to see what lineup they run out here, but if this is what their strikeout totals are against righties, I definitely have some interest in Javier here in this spot. You can see how he is against righties, 38.4% against righties. So I think Javier makes for a good spot here, but him and Castillo are both kind of in that, like, they're good pitchers, but it's just kind of a tough matchup. So why not, why would we not just not take a free square, but take the easier play with Fried or Sale? So I think if I pivot off Sale, I could see myself going to Castillo, maybe Burns or Javier. Really, might just have to kind of see how the lineup shake out to really just kind of really compare the 3 or 4 pitchers we're looking at. Castillo, we can pull up the Astros here. This just really isn't a dangerous Astros team this year. You just really have to watch out for Alvarez and Tucker in the middle of the lineup. Strikeout totals are fairly low at the top of the order, but this bottom of the order is about what we've been attacking all year with the Astros. So even if Castillo goes out and has a moderate strikeout game, like 5, 6 strikeouts or something like that, I could still go on seeing him go like 6 innings for 2 runs or something. So probably one of the safer guys in the 10K range, but on the flip side, Javier might have slightly more upside just with the high strikeout totals we saw. So might just have to see how these lineups shake out. And both these pitchers are going to be in the mix for guys I pivot off of. Fried or Sale too. But with that being said, I'm out on both offenses here in this spot. These pitchers are too good that I'm not going to try to get cute and take one of these hitters here in this spot. Their prices are high, and none of them really have a good matchup here. So I'm going to be out on all hitters here in this spot. All right, last game, Brewers Giants. Certainly an interesting one. 4.19 for the Brewers, 3.81 for the Giants. We do have Corbin Burns, 9.3K versus Sean Manaea, 5.6K. We can talk about Burns first. He's been so up or down this year. Usually love playing him because he's just a lock for 7, 8, 10 strikeouts, and the strikeouts just have not been there this year. Only had one start with above 5 strikeouts. He hadn't been going deep, which is usually one of his strengths as well. Usually, he's almost locked for 7 innings, 8 Ks or something like that. So certainly makes for a tough spot here. But like I think I said before, that Diamondback spot, I'll always try to be ahead of the curve on Corbin Burns, and I missed it in the one spot we talked about it last time, and I think I've played him every start since. I've been chasing that good start, and just quite hadn't come yet. We see some massive. That's the Brewers. So yeah, we'll get to that for sure. Really high strikeout totals though here in the bottom of this order for the Giants. So I think Burns is certainly in play. Compared to Javier and Castillo, I'd probably take Burns. Just facing a little bit less of a threat of an offense. So it's probably where I sit with all said and done on those guys. On the flip side though, if we want a cheap pitcher, it might be Sean Manaea, which just hurts to say. And that has nothing to do with Sean Manaea and has everything to do with the Brewers versus left-handed pitching. So you can see Manaea has been terrible. I think this game here, I believe, was the Mexico City game. So he gets a free pass for that one. That game was, they basically played on the moon for that one. So that one I'm not interested in. This start or this one inning for the Cardinals was where they used the opener and then he came out to do one inning. This is like a tune-up start or tune-up inning or something. So Leach is certainly concerned. I mean, it might be 5 inning max for Mania, really. I'm probably going to try to avoid this spot. He just hadn't been good. But I mean, look at this is why we're playing a lefties against the Brewers. I mean, Adames 32%. Let's put it on this year alone. I think it might get even worse. So you can see Adames almost 50% strikeout rate for lefties this year. Voit 57%. Tyrone Taylor, low sample size, but 50% as well. These ISO numbers are basically rock bottom against lefties. So it's certainly, I mean, you can see Mania has been terrible versus righty. So does that cancel out Adames? I don't know. They probably meet in the middle somewhere. Adames takes him deep, but still strikes out twice or something like that. So Mania has certainly been terrible, but he's shown promise in the past, and it's just trying to. I guess you're taking the chance that he can kind of come back down to his usual self here in this spot. But I don't know. These Brewers have just been so bad against lefties. So if you need a cheap pitcher, I think Mania is your guy. I would take him over Gray or Anderson or Muller or anyone down here. I would go with Mania, but then there's enough cheap offenses that there's no reason that you really have to pay this. And none of really the top offenses we love that much. So I'm hoping to avoid Mania just so I can avoid the headache. But don't be mad when this game ends or when the slate ends and he went 5 innings, 9 Ks against this Brewers team or something like that. Offenses, I'm going to be out on the Brewers. Mania certainly can get lit up, but this spot just scares me a little too much. Maybe I could see maybe going like Anderson. I feel like he's been decent at least this year. Tyrone Taylor, like I said, was only two plate appearances. He had a home run, I believe, yesterday. I could see maybe going Taylor as a one-off, but maybe Weimer. But I'm probably out on the Brewers full stack. Even if I don't play Mania, they've just been so bad against lefties that I really just want to see them turning around a little bit before I go there. Giants on the other side have no interest in stacking against Corbin Burnes. Even if I don't play Burnes, I'm not playing the Giants. There's no way I take these guys. I mean, Jock Price is cheap, 4K, but I mean, we're trying to guess the guy that's going to take Corbin Burnes deep. I mean, that's just a lot to ask. So I'm probably out on the Giants as well. All right, just to recap, I think our two main pitchers are pretty obvious here in the spot. I think Fried's the top pitcher, probably projection-wise, but his price just is even better. We might have to, check the rain here in the spot in Atlanta. Same goes for Sale. He's a little bit cheaper, but very similar upside against the Phillies here. He certainly has a tougher matchup with some good hitters on the Phillies side, and we're going to have to watch the rain as well. So those are probably the two, core pitchers, I would say. You certainly, they're not matchup proof. Fried can go out there and have 4 strikeouts and get 18 points or something, and Sale can go out and walk a bunch of guys and have -5. So they're certainly not matchup proof. So either pivot off either of those guys, I wouldn't have a problem with. And Sale does come with his weather concerns. The top price pitchers I think we're looking at for potential pivots. Wheeler's in play, but I might rather just go with Castillo or Burnes here in this spot. Be down here at the end. Yeah, Castillo 10K. I might just rather go there, or maybe even just rather go with Burnes at 9.3K. If I'm not going Sale or Fried, I'm trying to pay up. And then your cheap guy, I believe, is Mania. You have to get down there. I don't love really anyone else below Sale, 7.5K. So if you end up on somebody cheap, it's probably Mania, but you just put him in there and hope he can go 5 or 6 innings and at least be in line for the win. And the strikeout should come for sure. All right, so top offenses, I think probably the Braves and Cardinals, especially for expensive offenses. I think that those offenses kind of go without saying. For more affordable offenses, I think we're looking at the Diamondbacks, Royals. Well, the Braves and Cardinals really aren't that expensive, but they're the main two. So yeah, so I think Cardinals, Braves are top 2, and then Royals, Diamondbacks next 2. Maybe the A's as like a cheap cheap villain stack, and then yeah, I think we kind of touched on someone else we like someone else here for the Twins, like we talked about, especially Gallo. So, all right, hope that helps. Glad to be back. Looking forward to this slate. Should be able to, should be able to get unique in a few different ways. I don't think anything should carry too much ownership. Freed, Sale, Braves, Royals might be like kind of the main thing people go with, or Cardinals, Royals, or something like that. I think one slight pivot off that, and you should be different enough here on the spot, so I'm not too worried about it. But all right, appreciate it, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Like I said, I'm trying to get these back out again a little more regularly next week, so should be back to a normal week for me. So I appreciate it, and I'll see you at the top.